sorry.
I nearly went. It's here, full fat. Flop that in and then give that another lovely beat. So
And what I'm so excited about, I feel a little bit tingly, I'm so excited.
add the zest of your orange. I get to use my little zester again. How exciting. I don't think I like turkey.
Sorry.
And now we're going to go in with the beaters again. Look at my zesty hands. I'm going to smell lovely all day, aren't I? I'm just going to wash those.
It's like anything, if you find a thing that works for you, then of course it's going to be easy to do. Oh.
So now, once I've got the orange off, it doesn't want to go, does it? There we go. Dan's laughing at me, I can hear him. And the colour that...
07513.
Did you memorise that?
Am I right?
Yes.
Boom!
Yak, 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 yak. Yak. Yak, yacky, yakka.
Welcome to episode 141 and the start of a brand new year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
But oh yes, it's not just the start of a brand new year. We are all now living in a science fiction movie.
Oh, hey.
Because yes, it's 2020.
2020.
Now, what a year.
Sounds very spacey, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. Hey, and that's lucky.
Is it?
Because our race to the moon has already begun.
Yes.
Oh yes, our race to the moon. It's our brand new year-long activity for our patrons. But if you're a walker or a runner, you can come and get involved too and help us by building a spaceship so we can get to the moon to meet the patron knitters who are doing wonderful things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're already zooming our way up to the moon.
And if you want to find out all about this, you can look on our Ravelry group and there's a thread there. Or if you're just a runner and a walker and you want to get involved, you can contact me via the website, via the Baker & Bears website. There's a link in the show notes below and you can get involved too. So what a perfect link that was, Kay, with the 2020. Sounds very spacey.
Undeliberate.
Oh my goodness.
But I'll just say as well, anyone can join the running and the walking.
Yes.
You don't need to be a patron, because
Correct.
I've been asked that a couple of times.
Yes.
So it's just the knit along. Yeah, it's just the knit along that's for patrons. The running and walking, everyone can join.
Because we want to encourage as many people as possible to get out there and enjoy the lovely outside.
Absolutely.
Now, what a year we have in store for you. Oh, yes. My goodness. Do you know what? January can sometimes be... It can feel like a bit of a downtime. But do you know what? We don't feel that way here. We love...
Do we not?
You don't.
Right.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
you love a fresh new year.
I do. I do love a fresh new year, but I'm not mad on January.
You like turning the page and
I absolutely
starting afresh.
I like getting rid of December and, moving on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of moving on, my goodness, what a year we have in store for you, because we have a brand new season of new adventures beginning on the 20th of March.
Right.
And for the first time ever, this will be a season which tells one epic story over 8 episodes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. This has been the season of new adventures that we have been building up to all the years we've been doing this. And to be fair, and what I'm so excited about, I feel a little bit tingly, I'm so excited, because I know exactly what's happening in all the episodes of New Adventures this year.
Right.
But I also know what's happening in all of the new adventures next year.
You're like J.K. Rowling, aren't you? Planned all of the episodes out, before you've even started.
I even know what's happening in the Christmas special of the new adventures this year.
Good heavens, really? He's not told me. So
Folks, the stories which we want to tell, we've always been, every year we try and push the boundaries a little bit on all fronts, on production quality and on the quality of the equipment that we use and everything. And we've got some huge leaps in store for you this year. We had a giant leap planned for today, but due to some slight technical issues, which I think I know what the problem is, next episode you should hopefully see, we already broadcast in amazing picture quality.
Yeah.
But we're taking it up a notch.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, the next 2 years of New Adventures it's like my dream New Adventures.
I wish I knew what it was.
Well, look.
I've not got a clue.
You all know it's like broadcasting with Dory.
Maybe he'll tell me if I ask him.
It's like broadcasting with Dory, because I told her exactly what's happening this year.
I don't remember. That was last year, you probably told me.
But she doesn't know what's happening next year. Oh, no.
There's actually no point telling me because I will forget.
But look, New Adventures, it's just half of it because we also have a brand new season of Pudding Club. That starts on the 6th of March, but hey, guess what? No, it doesn't, because we've got a special for you today.
We have.
If you want to find the perfect thing to chase away those dark night January blues, you want a lovely cake.
You do.
Full of all the flavours and ingredients that you associate with this time of year.
Yeah.
But just a little bit lighter on the old tummy.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's delicious, isn't it?
After the richness of Christmas.
Yeah, although ours is never usually that rich, is it?
I've got to say, in my humble opinion...
I also have an announcement. I don't think I like turkey. We had it this year, and I was eating it, and I'm thinking, do you know what? I don't think I like this.
So we're going chicken.
So yeah,
next year. But look, this year.
It's
Isn't
weird.
that weird?
It sounds weird, doesn't it?
It's weird.
Yeah.
But for anyone who loves Christmas, that's the gift of Christmas, because as soon as it's finished, it's happening this year again.
That's true, isn't it? And it does take a bit of used to saying this, this Christmas.
Yes.
Rather than next Christmas.
Yeah. Neil, I have to introduce you to a new member of the Bakery Bears team. It's this shirt.
Oh, he's got a new shirt. It's bright, isn't it?
I love it.
It'll be waking you up this morning, that shirt.
I have an issue, as you all know, I have an issue with clothes because of the big scar on my tummy. I need certain types of things that don't just irritate it.
It needs a really soft fabric because anything just rubs on the scar. And it's 3 years almost in now since you had that, but it still bothers you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And every morning he'll you have to have a really good stretch and everything, don't you, to kind of
get it going.
Yeah, because it's a really huge scar.
And the other problem that I have is if something isn't soft, if it's too short, even if it's soft and too short, as most of my shirts tend to become. To be fair, some of the Star Wars ones are perfect, and the Superman one is perfect. But this is beyond perfect.
It's longer, isn't it?
It's longer.
And I never put anything in the dryer like this. And I always wash it on 30 because I'm worried about things shrinking. When it's 100% cotton, it does have a tendency to shrink. But that one's been washed 2 or 3 times now, and it's been okay.
And when it comes to Superdry and sales, I can't resist it.
Oh yeah, you like a Superdry sale.
Well, because
it's like half price, wasn't it?
That's right. Superdry, not the cheapest of shops, but it is when I shop there. Because if there's a sale, I swoop in like a hawk.
Yeah.
And that jacket I got for 25 quid.
That was the
bargain of the century.
And it should have been 80, I think.
The most stunning jacket.
I got to the till and she was like, that's £25. I was like, I didn't want to say anything. I thought that's got to be a mistake. I'm just going to pay and
She
go.
staggered a little. I held
but it was right. It was right.
And actually, I've had a lot of comments about that jacket because that's the jacket I wear an awful lot on New Adventures. This, full price, £26. Too expensive for a t-shirt. Yeah. Couldn't have afforded that. £13. I think I'll have some of that.
Yeah.
Perfection.
And I wasn't sure about the colour with you being a sort of redhead, but actually I think it does suit you.
I had, as I told Kate, I used to have a George polo shirt, orange one, when I was about 17. Wore it for about 3 years straight until it fell apart. And I tell you something, I got more comments about that shirt.
Was that shade of orange?
It was.
Right.
People loved it.
Right.
Oh, yes.
See, I couldn't wear that colour, I don't think.
No, but probably not. No, but doesn't she look just lovely in her brand new green dress?
It's a dress?
Yes.
Wearing a dress?
Yes.
It's a bit scary.
Yeah, it's not scary at all. So, folks, welcome. It's so great to see you, and we're so excited to get cracking on this brand new year of shows. And without further ado, because it's a brand new year, so I think we should have some brand new cast-ons.
Yes.
Not just from me, but from the lovely Kay too. So without further ado, I shall ask the question for the first time in 2020. Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Yay!
Oh, that felt good.
I do have a new cast-on. In fact, I've got 2 new cast-ons to show you.
Well, you've outdone me.
Well, that's no shot,
fine.
is it? I don't think you've got any new cast-ons, have you? Oh, no, I think you have.
I just said I had a new cast-on, and I do.
Oh, right, okay, I'll let him off.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is very exciting. I've put it in this bag because it's kind of the closest bag I had to the theme of what's inside.
Yes.
I like to do that.
Yes.
And I made this bag a few years ago. But can you see it's got like the moon and stars on? And that's the kind of link to what's inside, not the horse on the front. A few weeks ago, we were in the bookshop with Bryony, and she was trying to choose a new book. She'd just finished a series of books. I can't even remember what it was now. She's an avid reader. I think I've mentioned this before, which
is excellent.
It's just brilliant. You know, she's always been a great reader, and we've always encouraged it. We've never really had to encourage it, to be fair. She's always just wanted to read.
But I think we can let slip our secret.
What?
Because we read, well, I read to it every other night, and you do too, because you read to it via an audiobook.
Yeah,
which is superb.
I recorded a couple of audiobooks myself, reading the books.
Not professionally. No. Please don't go looking for these on Audible, because they're not there.
You won't find them. But when it's my turn to do bed, then I do that, and then Dan reads to her. And you've just finished all of the Harry Potter books, haven't you? You've just finished the Deathly Hallows.
Yes. I think we've probably reached that point in parenting where we're now clinging on to it.
That's probably true.
Because we know that the day could happen
looming
at any point.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, do you remember those times where we could go and read her a story?
But, we're sort of guided by her, and she still wants us to do it, so that's great, isn't it?
And do you know what?
We're not bound by, what everyone else does in the world and what, she's too old for that sort of business. We're not bound. We don't care about things like that. We will do what feels right to us.
Well, that's right. And if reading
right
to her,
for her
empowers her to be an avid reader.
Yeah, and also,
I think we're doing something.
Occasionally, you've read to me of an evening, when we've maybe been on holiday or for whatever reason.
I did just the other night.
Yeah, Dan will read me sort of passages from books. Do you know what? It's lovely to be read to, and I don't think it really matters what age you are. I think it's lovely to just sit there and have someone read a story to you. It's just really lovely. So, anyway, we digressed. But we were in the bookshop, and she was looking for a new book. And she, at the moment, she went through a phase of reading loads of like detective and mystery type books. And then she progressed a little bit into things that were a little bit, not scary, but she called them spooky, a little bit spooky. Not at all scary. But anyway, we were in the bookshop, and then I suddenly saw on the shelf the Twilight books. So I said, oh, what about that? And I've never read them. I've never watched the series at all, but I knew it was something to do with vampires, and I knew it had like a teenage vibe. So I said, why don't you give one of those a go? And she said, oh, my friends have read those, and I've been wanting to try those. So we bought her the first book, and well, she was absolutely hooked. She read through the first two books really quickly, and then asked for the second two for Christmas, which she got, and she's now reading the third. And since then, she also got the DVDs for Christmas. Santa brought her those, and she's watched the first two, but she doesn't want to watch the films until she's read the book. So she's reading the third one at the minute, and then we'll watch the third one. And I've been watching them with her, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a great thing, because I always loved Buffy. It's very different to Buffy. Buffy, I think, is much more, not gruesome's not the word, but it's a bit more gritty, I think, Buffy, than Twilight, because, vampires don't really sparkle. I mean, he's beautiful, isn't he? The vampire, Robert Pattinson is lovely to look at, and he sparkles, and it's all beautiful, but totally wasn't like that in Buffy. But anyway, she loves it. And we were watching the film over Christmas for about the fourth time, the first one this is. And I suddenly realised Bella, the main character, was wearing some mittens. And then I had this moment of realisation. And I said to Bryony, oh my word, stop everything. Those mittens that Bella's got on, there's a pattern for those mittens. And I remembered years ago these being really popular. And I think Twilight is about 10 years old now, so it's probably some years ago. But I specifically remember Diane from Knittables making a pair of these mittens, and it just must have stuck in my head for some reason. So I was straight on Ravelry, and I was downloading that pattern because it's free. And it's called Bella's Mittens, and they look like this. And if you know, I'm probably talking to the, you know, I'm preaching to the converted, so to speak, because a lot of you will probably know what I'm talking about, but maybe not, you know, because I'd never watched it or read the books or anything like that. But they look like this. They're like really chunky, long mittens with this huge cable running down them. And I'm presuming, you know, I've tried to look at them in a bit more detail on the film because it's quite quick and you don't really get much of a look. But I'm presuming this person must have freeze-framed and looked at exactly what they look like. So they're knit with a bulky weight yarn and the dark grey. If on the film you've seen it, they're dark grey. I know this is black and white, but it's a dark grey mitten. Now, the yarn it recommends is discontinued. That's no shock, is it? It was Cascade 109, which is a chunky weight yarn. You get 109 yards per 100 grams. And you need 2 skeins and you use 5mm needles. Now, when I tried to find a substitute yarn, I found that yardage and grammage was quite a difficult thing to find. But in the end, I'm using this, and the yardage is slightly higher. You get 125 metres for 100 grams, so it's a bit of a higher yardage. But I'm using this, and it's lovely. It's from Rico, Essentials Mega Wool Chunky. And this colour is colour number 15, if you want to look it up. And it's made up of 55% wool and 45% acrylic. It's really lovely. I'm really, really enjoying knitting with it. I got it actually from our local, well, it's not that local, but from a nearby garden centre. But they have a craft section. And I got it from there, and it was $5.99 a ball, which I think is really good. And I bought 2 because I didn't think 1 would be enough. And I'm almost finished with the first mitten. Now, shall I put it on? Look at it. It looks super skinny, doesn't it? And I think part of the reason is because you've got this whole section, which is 1x1 rib. And can you see how you do decreases? It comes in. And so I'll put it on. This is the left one. And then you can see, but I checked my gauge when I got to this stocking stitch section here. I checked my gauge actually last night to the pattern because I was worried it was coming out too skinny, and it's absolutely spot on gauge. So this must be how it's meant to fit. I do think in the film it looks like it's a more loose fitting thing. It doesn't look super fitted, I don't think, on Bella's arm, but anyway, it fits. It completely fits. Look, can you see how long it is? Isn't it cool? So you've got on this side, you've got the 1x1 rib going up to your wrist, and then it changes to stocking stitch on the back for the rest. So I've got the thumb gusset there, and then you've got this. It's a horseshoe cable, I think, isn't it, or a staghorn? It might be called. I'm just ready to do another cable here, and I'm almost finished, you can see. So it's a great little pattern, completely free. Haven't had any issues. I really like how it's written. It's written line by line. Do you know how quite often with a mitten pattern it'll say work this until you reach X number of inches or whatever? But I really like, and this is why I wanted to check my gauge, because this is written line by line. It's free pattern this, so I'm not showing you anything, but you can see how it's line by line. So you just literally work your way through it and then you're done. You know, there's no measuring, there's no work 3 inches of this. And I really like that because it just, for me, it's very easy to follow. You know, I've just got my row counter and I'm just going along, you know, doing the rows, and it's super quick. I've only been working on this in an evening, and this is 4 evenings work, and I could have finished this last night, to be fair, but I got a bit tired, so I put it down. So I could have had 1 mitten, bar the thumb, finished in 4 evenings. And when I say an evening, it was probably only maybe 45 minutes of knitting, because it's just while, you know, before bed, just while we're watching Downton or something. And it's lovely. It's really soft, really lovely and soft. And I do think as well, when I wash this, I think it will give a bit. I think it will stretch out a bit. But Bryony tried it on, and her hand is actually a little bit smaller than mine, and it fits her perfectly, and she loved them. So, you know, I'd highly recommend it if you've if you're looking for like a really nice cosy pair of mittens for winter, because we're right in that cold season now, aren't we, in the Northern Hemisphere, these are really brilliant. Just grab yourself some chunky yarn, and the Rico is lovely. So yeah, I've got no complaints at all, and it's 5mm needles, which seemed small for this yarn. I thought, gosh, is this going to be too dense? But like I said, I've checked my gauge here, and I've got a good stretch to check it against, and it was absolutely spot on. So this must be what the designer intended. So I think I should have those done for next time.
Exciting.
And
look great.
Bryony will be wearing them. Whether she'll wear them other than when she's reading the book and watching the films, I don't know. But that's not the point, really, is it? She'll enjoy them. So Bella's mittens, really enjoying them.
Cool.
Yeah. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needles?
Well, I've cast on a brand new pair of socks.
Can you believe it?
Yes. I've worked through my sock issue. Well, no, I haven't. I haven't. Well, I have.
Do you need therapy?
No, well, I've had therapy. It was your sock patterns.
Oh.
I think that it's like anything. If you find a thing that works for you, then of course it's going to be easy to do. Oh, that's a good little phrase.
That rhymed, did it?
If you find a thing that works for you, then of course it's going to be easy to do. There you go. It's my first quote.
Write that down quick.
It's my first quote of the decade. And what I found with all the sock patterns that I've knit of yours is I've enjoyed them.
Yeah.
And so
Thank you. That's very kind.
Well, it's my pleasure, because I've knit them all. And I decided that I wanted to do something a little bit more challenging with the old socks. And I'll be honest with you, I've always loved cables, but I've always really loved lace. Mm-hmm. And, I've sort of missed, because I used to do them lots in hats.
Yeah.
And I haven't really done that in hats for a while. And that's probably right, because I've knit everyone who I can, who would want one, a cabled hat. And I've got enough cable hats, and that's all fine. And it makes sense to apply their skills in a pair of socks. So, last year, of course, Kay released the Swish and Flick collective. And as part of that collection, which is now available, all separate patterns, as part of that collection, I think my favourite to look at and aspire to knit is the Whispers in the Wall socks, which is what I'm going to show you in just a second. My favourite to wear is definitely the moon dust.
The moon dust.
But I haven't worn everything, so who knows? My favourite to wear might be something else.
Yeah.
But look what I've cast on. I've only done the rib, but you can get, a good idea of how it's knitting up.
It's nice yarn.
It's phenomenal yarn. Neil, this yarn, did you all see Kay's top 5 yarns of 2019? It came out on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
That's the perfect way to celebrate the new year.
Yep.
And I think this was.
It was one of them.
Yes, it was.
It was. I hope you still got the ball band. Yes.
I do. It's right
Come
there.
on.
No. It's a ticket, Annie. And it is just the most tremendous yarn to knit with. It's great.
It's gorgeous. I love it. And this is the yarn that I used for the design. And I actually, luckily, I had another ball of it because I almost used this colour for the actual pattern. So I'll let Dan have it. It's the Regia Premium Merino Yak 4-ply. It's this one.
And the colour 07513.
Did you memorise that?
Am I right?
Yes.
Boom!
So the colour Dan's using is 07513. It does have a name, but I can't remember it at the moment.
And I don't know it. Because you'd have to look it up, wouldn't you, on that?
Yeah, look it up. It's 58% wool, 28% polyamide, and 14% yak. That makes me laugh. All the different languages for saying yak.
It's all fairly similar.
Yak, 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 yak. Yaki yakka. That's hilarious. And it's gorgeous, this yarn. It's really heathered, if I hold it close.
Yes.
Can you see how lovely and heathered it is? This colour's beautiful as well. It's like a soft teal. Just gorgeous.
And it would work for so many different types of people too, because a lady could wear that.
Absolutely.
Equally, a bloke could wear that.
Oh, could definitely.
I just think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to knit with. It's lovely and plump.
It is. It's really, really great to knit with, actually. As sock yarns go, I don't think you could beat this.
Not if you're looking for, a more solid coloured yarn. And this would have been perfect for my Yuletide socks as well.
Yes.
I think it was one of the ones I did recommend to people that they use. And it's just, I can't recommend it enough. And actually as well, even though I've not worn the socks, Bryony has worn these socks a few times over Christmas and they still look great. She's quite hard on her socks. She tends to rub her feet on the carpet.
An interesting thing, I think, as well, just going from... I've just finished knitting with opal. And when you feel opal, it just feels a bit stringy.
It's nothing like this.
No, this feels like
bouncy.
Serious...
It's
lovely.
Yeah,
this is yarn that you want to come up and squeeze.
Yeah, it's
whereas
quite
opal
luxurious.
is not like that.
No, I mean opal's a great, hard-working, workhouse type yarn. This is definitely on the luxury end, but it's not super expensive. I think it's about £15 a skein, something like that. So that's okay. I'm happy to pay that for such lovely yarn. So yeah, it's just a great yarn. So
I'm rattled off the start, and now I'm into the good stuff, the more complex stuff.
Well, I'm interested to see how you fare with this, because it is a more complicated design. I say complicated, but more involved. That's probably a better word.
Well, yeah.
There's nothing complicated in the stitches that you use.
No.
But there's a lot more going on than, a simpler one of my designs.
So it feels like the next sort of sensible step for me with socks. So I'm excited to get going on those. And the next time you see them, I'll be a little way into the old lace and cables and all sorts.
It's not actually cables. It's like it's a pretend cable.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
It still looks like a cable.
It does look like a cable.
So to me, that's still a cable.
It's easier to work than a cable.
Because you don't need a cable needle, do you? Result.
No.
I actually really like those on the other project I'm going to show you today. I love those twisted.
Yeah, that's kind of what that is. It's like a crossed stitch.
Which is great. I love those. What else is on your needles?
Well, I'm also working on a pair of socks. Oh, save that. Don't lose that.
Oh, no.
I've been trying to get a few of my sort of languishing works in progress finished. And this was one that had been hanging around for a little bit. So this is now my bedtime knitting, and I'm making a great progress on it. I find that if I've got a project that I want to get finished, but it's not something that I'm drawn to knitting on madly, I find that if I put it as my bedtime knitting, when I probably only knit maybe 40 minutes, something like that, when I'm in bed, it's enough of a little chunk of time for me to get a good bit of progress every day. And you do see, a quicker progress than you would think. It's certainly more progress than if it's just sat in your project bag and you're just thinking about knitting it, which is what I usually do. But this is my modified Peter sock. I've shown you this one before. This was the one that I'd finished. And this is a variation on the Peter pattern, which was part of my Beatrix Potter Sock Club #1. I discovered this modification, a couple of months ago, and thought, I'm going to knit up a pair of socks with that. And then what I did was I updated the Peter pattern with this modification in it. So if you now go ahead and purchase the Peter pattern, that's hard to say. You'll get effectively 2 different ways of using the stitch in it. And I just love it. It's very unisex as well. I think it would look great for a man's sock and equally for a lady's. You can see this one is a lady's sock. And I striped this myself. I'm using a bunch of colours from Cascade Heritage, which is another yarn that I absolutely love. This one it's much softer. It's a gorgeously soft yarn, but it does pill. And it does fluff up. It is more like fluff, it goes fluffy. Certainly when Bryony wears this on her feet, it's, you do get all that fluff quite quickly on the bottom. But I've never had anything wear through of hers that she's, when she's been wearing these. And I don't mind socks looking like they've been worn once they've been worn. Do you know what I mean? It's totally fine by me. But it's gorgeous to knit with. The colours are lovely. So I just chose 4 colours that I thought looked sort of, Peter Rabbit-ish. and I'm going ahead and knitting them. I think this one is Snow, which is one of my favourites. We've then got Limestone, which is a great neutral. If you're looking for a neutral for, you know, blanket backgrounds and things like that, I think this one is brilliant. So that's Limestone. This one is Camel, which is a gorgeous soft brown. And then the blue is 5630 is the blue. I can't remember what it's called. It was a funny name. So I've got those 4 colours. And I'm on the second sock now. I'm past the gusset decreases and I'm working my way down the foot. And I picked this up, I think I was only sort of up here maybe. So I got through all of this over Christmas. And it's now much, you know, I'm just working straight down the foot, so it shouldn't take me long. How many more stripes have I got to do? This is the great thing about stripy socks, isn't it? I'm on that one, so I've got 1, 2, 3. I've just got 4 more stripes, and then I'll be on the toe, and I'll have a finished pair of socks. So hopefully, again, they'll be done for next time. And it's very pleasant, very nice knit. It's just a 2-row repeat. You can knit away. It's very easy to tell what row you're on. So... well, that's an advantage, isn't it?
Yes, it is an advantage. I'm now thinking that we need to put your statement to the test.
Right.
And I need to knit those socks after I've knit the Whispers in the Wool socks.
Because
I'm literally the worst person at telling which row I'm on.
It's literally a 2-row repeat.
Yes, but when I knit the Peter socks before...
that wasn't a 2-row repeat.
No, that was 4, was it?
It might have even been a few more than that.
Oh, right, okay.
Actually.
That may be why.
Yeah.
But what I love, though, about the Peter socks, the version that I knit is so forgiving because the pattern still looks fine, even if you mess it up.
Yeah. But I don't know that you could mess this one up because well, I've said it now, haven't I? I've said it now. But it is very easy to tell what row you're on. If you know, I can't remember where I put this down last night, but just looking at it now, I know what the last row I knit was. Yeah. So I know what row I'm on.
That's cool.
So it's not tricky at all. So lovely socks, and I expect these will go to Bryony. But do you know, it was so lovely. Do you know how I saved all of my design socks through the year last year and just bundled them all up and gave them to Bryony for Christmas? It was so funny. She opened it and she was just laughing her head off.
She was thrilled though. She was
thrilled. She's won all of them. Yeah. You know, she took them straight upstairs and then she started every day. She had a different pair on and she's like, look, mummy. And then her favourite ones at the minute are the Mr. Fisher, the Jeremy Fisher ones. She's worn those one loads. She loves those.
They're great colours though.
Yeah, they are nice colours. So it was great. So I think I'll do that again this year. So maybe I'll just start hoarding away these socks now and see how many I've got by the end of the year for her.
It's a tradition.
Yeah, so that is, and maybe I've created a little tradition, and it was just lovely. It was so, you know, she was thrilled and she was just laughing her head off. She's like, how many pairs of socks have you made me? It was really funny. So yeah, I think I'll do that. So what else have you got?
Look, this is exciting. I think I'm nearly through this body, although I want to go long on this.
Right.
Because I want it to have a good length, because I know you like it long.
Yeah.
And I'm happy, because I'm knitting up to the underarms here, and then we're splitting.
Just got to make sure we don't run out of yarn, of course, but I've got a feeling we bought loads of that.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot up there, but I will check.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, folks, honestly, this is the first time I've laid it down when actually, look, you can see it framed, can't you?
Yeah.
You can see the sides. Look, it's the Cascades.
You've got it at the right point.
Miss L1. And it is sort of at that point.
It's gorgeous.
It's sort of at that point where there's enough weight in the fabric to now... Because before, it might curl up a bit. I
think it's where your round was before. It was difficult to see. Look at that. Isn't it lovely?
Look, it's been a journey, for want of a better word, this, because I've learnt a tremendous amount. And, you know...
It's a good length, look.
It's really challenging.
The stand up, look. Oh, don't...
Oh, sorry.
I nearly went. That was nearly a tragedy. It's nearly a 48-year-old on the floor. But look, how lovely. I've crunkled it up a bit now.
That's another new word.
Crunkled is a word.
Yes.
Don't start that with me again, because my word was actually a word that I said last time.
What was it last time?
I can't remember, but it was it was a word.
Right. And don't get me started on potato waffles again.
Yes, well, apparently they can be toasted, we've been told. We've not bought any yet, but I'm intrigued.
It is... like I said a moment ago, it's been a journey. I've learned a tremendous amount. There are little mistakes in there, but the thing is, though, because it's so busy,
you'll get
really
away
hard.
with it.
It's really hard to spot them. But it's the most engaging, exciting, fun.
It's just beautiful. I mean, well done. Look at that.
It's such a rewarding thing to knit.
Wait to wear it.
I know. Well, what I'm so pleased about is the fact that I'm a little bit further on in my sort of garment knitting abilities. I've done this type of construction before, where I've knit up separated 3-needle bind off at the top, knit down the sleeves. So I don't feel quite so petrified of there being disasters, and I feel like, you know, I've learnt a lot of lessons.
How are the sleeves attached? How do you do the sleeves?
I thought it was a 3-needle bind off, and then you start knitting down them.
Are they, so you knit them attached to the jumper?
Like the Samantha.
Oh, right, okay.
Which I'm really pleased about, because...
So you pick up stitches and...
Yeah, well, I'm really pleased about this, because it means we're not going to have an issue with sleeve length.
Oh, we've had a bit of a problem.
Oh, well, no, we'll talk about that another time.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. We're not going to have an issue with sleeve length, which we had a problem with on the Solia.
Yes.
And that was because it was attached, you know, afterwards. So you knit them, you know, knitting down the sleeve, you can finish when you want to finish and knit the ribbon.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love that. Yeah. That sounded very northern.
I love that.
I love that.
Oh, Bayek.
Bayek. So this, for me, has been... This might be... my most favourite project I've ever done.
Oh, it's gorgeous, and I think it's going to block lovely as well.
The yarn's tremendous.
It's really lovely, and you know, we're a great advocate for these economical yarns that just are lovely, because there's a lot of them out there, you know, and this is definitely one of them. I've used this quite a lot. And it's the King Cole. King Cole have been around forever. My mum used to use King Cole yarn years ago. And it's just lovely. And this colour in particular, which is truffle.
Yes, they've just seen.
Oh, lovely. It's just, isn't it the most gorgeous? It's like a neutral, but not.
Yeah.
And I think it'll suit my colour, and it's got that slight autumnal feel going on.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful, and you've done a fantastic job. And this double moss stitch.
It's great.
Oh, I just love it.
What I love so much about this pattern is there's just no section of it where you think, oh, that's a bit boring. I'll just wade through that. And then every bit of it is like, yes, yes, yes.
It's lovely.
And the repeat
so lovely.
is the perfect length too. I just love it. So if you fancy a challenge this year, and if you want to create something marvellous that I think you will just love to wear, then...
And that's
the Cascades
that's the detail. That's the side detail. Do you know that runs down your sort of side? And isn't that lovely to have that detail running down your side? It's brilliant.
It's genius.
It's just gorgeous.
You know, she's clever design.
Brilliant designer.
Such clever design, because if you think about it, you know, your arms are down by your sides, you know, a certain amount of time, but then, you know, you move your arm up when you're walking, you get a little flash every so often.
Like, you know, another knitter might see it and go, oh,
also as well, I like
beautiful that.
I like, you know, the fact that it's just sucking it in a little bit around the sides too, because sometimes I think jumpers can be a little bit too bulky, you know, and I just think it's going to fit lovely.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
What size needle are you using?
I've got no idea.
4mm chow goose.
Marvellous.
And you're still enjoying the chow goose?
Yes, perfect.
I think chow goose are great for projects where you've got a lot of fabric appearing underneath your needle, because the cable is very robust, isn't it? Yeah, it's still flexible. So things like blankets and heavy garments, big shawls, it's brilliant for keeping it nice. Stop it going like all, you know how some cables can be like a giant worm.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Marvellous project. Give it a try if you fancy it. I know you'll love it. The only challenge, remember, is it takes a minute to get the pattern into the groove because of the way it's written out. It's quite a challenge initially. It's hard to engage with, but once you have, you're off. What else is on your needles? Oh,
this is lovely. Now, I'm bringing in a basket. I've got it in a beautiful basket. Yes, happy about that. Now, can you remember on the last episode I showed you the crochet granny squares, and I was going to start a blanket with all of my Sherry Iris minis? Well, I did that, And do you know how I said I was going to start on Christmas Day? I totally started on about the 20th of December. I just couldn't wait. And I just said to Dan one day, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to start it. Why am I waiting? Why am I torturing myself like this? I'm just going to start it. So I did, and it's a joy, let me tell you, an absolute joy. So in my basket, first of all, I will show you, I've got all of the sock sets that I've bought through last year. Oh, and this one's got one of my favourites in. Look at this. This was the October one. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to do that one. Crochet that one. And it smells lovely, this basket, because I've thrown in a couple of Sherry's lavender sachets that she always sends out. Just gorgeous. So they've got a couple of those in there. And this is my next up. No, it wasn't that one. It was this one. This is the one I think I'm going to do next, which is the July, which was a lovely gift. Because I think it's just so lovely and sunny, isn't it? In such a dark month, that I think that will be brilliant. So I've got all of the minis in there. I've got a little organza bag where I'm putting my leftovers. So whenever I've done a square, they're going in there with the labels. So I'm all organised. And then this little bundle, these are 10 grams. And these came with my, I can't remember what it was called, but it was the Sherry Iris, something like festive celebration box. It was the one where you received it and then you opened it for the 12 days of Christmas. Didn't do that. Opened it all on Christmas Day. Oh, it was great. I felt really naughty doing that, but it was fantastic. So these are all the 10 grams that I got with that. Aren't they lovely? Now, the reason these are in here is when I weighed the squares, and I'll show you them in a second, they were weighing about 11 grams. The ones I'd done before were sort of 11, 12 grams, so I thought it to be about 12. So I thought these 10 grams wouldn't be enough. But when I weighed them and I saw it was 11, I thought, oh, let me just weigh these, because I know that Sherry winds these herself. She doesn't use pre-bought in 10 grams. So I thought maybe some of them might just be long enough. And quite a few of these weighed 11 grams. So I did try making a square from one of these, but I was short just a tiny bit. But I managed to fudge it with one of the other of these skeins, so I'll show you that one in a second. So I've got those in there because I know that some of those I will be able to use. So that's my big basket, and then inside the big basket I've got a little yarn bowl. This was a gift from lovely Jules at Christmas, a very beautiful surprise gift. I was just thrilled, absolutely thrilled, and I love it, and I put it to work straight away. And this has got in the one that I'm currently working on, and then the next one up. I've also got in there my crochet hook, which is 3mm.
And as we found over Christmas, it's the perfect bowl for nibbles.
No, we didn't do that. Jules. He's joking when he says that. There's no salted peanuts or anything gross going in this bowl.
No, I don't think.
He is joking. So in here I've got a little weeny pair of scissors. Look at these. They're a
Salted peanuts.
I don't even eat salted peanuts. I don't know where that came from. These are a Japanese brand. I can't remember the name of the brand now, but you'll probably recognise it. That's the symbol on there. And they're weeny, but they are gorgeously sharp. And I love them. So I've got those in there in my little bowl, and then I've also got a darning needle, and I just cut a little circle of felt with pinking shears and then just stuck my needle through it, and it keeps it perfectly secure. So I've got everything in there that I need, and this is the one I'm working on at the moment, which is this gorgeous green. So that's my latest little square. So I've got that one in there, and then that's the next one up. And these are all the ones I've done. How many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've done 10.
Sorry.
Yes, I can count.
No,
well done, me.
I was being the count.
I know you were being
He's
the
my
count.
favourite. I love the count. And I love the fact that he's still around. We found a thing over the Christmas period to listen to, and it was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Oh yeah, I think it was.
And the Muppets.
Oh, it was very random.
It was totally random, but also quite sort of fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And because we were up here having tea, weren't we?
It was, because we'd ordered some new dining room furniture, and we had one day where we didn't have any dining room furniture, so we came up here into the study, and we were eating our tea up here. And
one of the people on that recording was the Count.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was marvellous.
And Bryony was like, what are we listening to?
Yes. Who's this?
What is this?
She had no idea who he was.
It's really funny. Anyway, the squares that I've finished, I've been kind of doing them in the bundles of mini skeins. So this one was September, I think. Or was it November? I can't remember. But anyway, this was one bundle. Oh, look at these. Oh my goodness. Just beautiful. Bryony loves this one. She said that was her favourite. Oh my word. You're just going to love them more and more as I go through them. Are they not just beautiful? This is one of my favourites. Love that one. And I love this purple. And then this is the set I'm currently working on. So there's two that I've just showed you. And these, oh my word. This one I thought was really festive looking. And then another lovely green and pink. And then this is the one where I used the 10 gram mini, but it was about 11 grams. Gorgeous. And you can't even really tell, but this edge here, I ran out when I just got one edge left. And can you see this one's a slightly different shade? But this was also in that same Yuletide box thing, festive box. So it's still Sherry's yarn. It was a very similar colour, and I don't think you can really tell. And once it's in the blanket itself, it'll be fine. So that's what I'm going to do with some of those other 10 gram ones, is I'll choose colours where I know I've got another similar colour, so that if I do run out, I can just add in that extra bit. And then, joy of joys, I've just finished a new design using some of Sherry's yarn. And I thought straight away, my first thought was, oh my goodness, I can crochet a square with that because it's Sherry's yarn. It's a different base. This is a sparkle base and all the others are just 75-25. But my rule is that it's just got to be Sherry's yarn, so that's fine. So I did this one. And this is her Strictly Ballroom colour. So that's all of the 10 squares I've done so far. Are they not beautiful?
Yes.
And none of these have been blocked. You know, this is the method I spoke about before. None of them have been blocked, and I think they're just so lovely. So I am going to be doing, there will be a tutorial coming really soon for these, for this method. It's not my invention. I found it in lots of places, but it just is so fantastic that I just thought I would do a tutorial for it as well. So
marvellous.
And I've been wondering what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crochet a big stack of these, because I can't really start joining until I've got a good range of colours, because I'm doing them in little groups of colours. I want to have more to go at before I start joining them. But I have ordered some Cascade Heritage in a colour that I'd never seen before. It's called Lunar Rock, and it's like a really pale grey. You can imagine it being called that. Couldn't find it anywhere in the UK. Everywhere was out of stock. So I actually broke one of my rules, and I've ordered some from Jimmy Bean's Wools in America. This is such a special blanket, and I think that colour will work so well that I thought I'll just do that on this occasion, because I didn't want a bright white or a cream. I wanted something a bit more subdued, a bit more vintage looking. So I think it'll be perfect.
Cool.
And I'm using a 3mm hook. I think I said that, didn't I? So gorgeous. Love, absolutely. Complete joy, and it's been my favourite thing to work on this past sort of few weeks.
Folks, it is the middle of winter here in the UK, in all of Europe, in fact. And there's only one thing that we could possibly do to fight those, because we spoke to me at the start about those January blues. Sometimes you come out of Christmas, you come into January and everything feels dark and a little bit down, and after the excitement of Christmas, it just feels a bit of a wet blanket.
A bit less sparkly then.
Yes. Well, we have the perfect sparkle to set your year off to perfection. Oh yes, it's time for the very first Bakery Bears Pudding Club special.
It's the start of a brand new decade. And there's only one way we could start the year in style. Yes, we're heading back into the kitchen to make one of our all-time favourite cakes. So join me for the very first Pudding Club special. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and what better way to start the year than with this absolutely delicious cake. Now, I'm delighted to introduce you to carrot cake. For me, this is the perfect winter bake. It's packed full of all those flavours we love to associate with this time of year, but it doesn't feel anywhere near as rich as all the things we've enjoyed over the Christmas period. Would you believe this wonderful cake has history dating back hundreds of years? It was first published in 1591 in Europe, and its popularity spread quickly amongst the rich and the poor. In the Middle Ages, sugar was expensive, and the first recipes for carrot cake had no sugar at all. It was the carrots themselves that sweetened the cake. Nearly 500 years later, and it's still loved across all of Europe. So let's head into the kitchen for the first time in 2020 and see what all the fuss is about. Yes, it's time to get baking. Okay, so what ingredients are we going to need for our lovely carrot cake? So first of all, we're going to need carrots, no shock there, and I'm using organic carrots just because that's my preference, but you know, whatever carrots is absolutely fine. We're going to need sunflower oil. It doesn't use butter or, you know, margarine or anything in the actual sponge. We use sunflower oil, self-raising flour, baking powder, and then some spices. Now this is where you can really do what you want to do. Normally you would put in, as well as what I'm going to put in, you'd sometimes put in cinnamon. I can't stand cinnamon, so I'm not putting that in, but really you do whatever you want to do in terms of spices. But I'll be putting in some ground mixed spice and some ground ginger. I've got 3 eggs, some butter, and this is my favourite butter, Country Life. I've always had Country Life. It's my favourite, but again, just use whatever is your favourite butter. Some light muscovado sugar. This is sometimes called soft brown sugar. We're then going to need some icing sugar. We've got our soft cheese. So I'm using Philadelphia, but obviously if you use whatever brand you want to, but it should be full fat. And then we've got an orange. And I've also got either a mandarin or a clementine or a satsuma or anything like that. One of the smaller kind of oranges as well. So what about our baking notions? Okay, so, you know, we're going to need the normal kind of mixing tools and things like that. But the specific things we're going to need is one of these little lemon or citrus zesters. It's the one where you can, I've got the orange here. You know, you peel down it like this and you get the little strips coming off it. So you're going to need one of those. I've then just got a measuring jug for measuring out our oil and a mixing bowl, a nice roomy mixing bowl. And then you're going to need a cake tin. It's just one tin for this. It needs to be 18 centimetres in diameter. And then it needs to be one of these that's quite tall. This is probably 2 to 3 inches tall. I haven't used this type before. It's loose bottomed, as you can see. This comes off, and then this is like a solid base. I'm sort of intrigued by this. And you just pop that on there and fasten it. And then I think it looks really nice and sturdy. It's very solid. So I'm going to give this one a go. And I've just lined it, as you can see, with some greaseproof in the bottom and then just oiled the sides. So let's get baking. Okay, so first thing to do is to take your flour. There's 230 grams of self-raising flour, and I'm just going to sieve this into our bowl just to give it some air, because they've been packed into those bags and it's nice to just aerate it. There we go. And to the flour, we're going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. So a teaspoon of baking powder. And then your spices go in next. So as I said before, really just do whatever you want to do with the spices. The recipe actually calls for a teaspoon of cinnamon as well as what I'm going to put in. So if you want to put in the cinnamon, it's a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then half a teaspoon of ground ginger, and then half a teaspoon of ground mixed spice. Now there is cinnamon in mixed spice, but for some reason when it's all combined into the mixed spice I don't mind it. So half a teaspoon of mixed spice. And in the mixed spice actually you get cinnamon, coriander seeds, dill seeds, ginger, cloves and nutmeg. And then just give that all a stir together just to work those spices through. And your baking powder. I've got this lovely wooden spoon. I bought this wooden spoon, I don't know, last year sometime I think, and it's made from olive wood and it's just lovely, and I save it. I only use it when I'm doing baking. It feels really special to use it. Oh, it smells really nice already with those spices. It's lovely. Okay, so the next thing to go in is the sugar. So this is the light muscovado, and normally I will have weighed this out already, but I do get a lot of questions about the weighing of ingredients, because I know certainly in the States you tend to use the cup measurements, which is something that historically in this country we just never do that. We always weigh everything. So I just have these kitchen scales, and I always weigh, you know, it into something. So you just pop your bowl on top and then you zeroize it, because obviously the bowl weighs something. So we're at 0 grams, and then we just put the sugar into it. So we've got 230 grams of the light muscovado. And it tends to be sort of, because it's such a fine sugar, it tends to sort of stick together in a lump, so you have to encourage it out. Nearly there. I'm going to use a teaspoon actually for that last bit. There we go, 230, yep, 230 it is, bang on. So that's the sugar goes into the flour. Yes, I know it's a lot of sugar. And then we're going to add the zest of the clementine, but mandarin is fine, you know, any of those small orange fruits. And we're going to add the zest. So we're going to use our little zesty machine, which is brilliant. And all we want is that super bright orange. Can you see it's paler orange underneath? We don't want that. It smells amazing. I think this is such a brilliant cake because it tends to be a crowd pleaser, I think, carrot cake. A lot of people like carrot cake, but I think you can make it into quite a celebration cake as well. So it's brilliant for lots of situations. If you wanted to as well, you can add some nuts into this. I think it's quite common to have maybe pecans in there or walnuts. I'm not on this occasion, but if you want to, you can add maybe 50 grams or so of pecans or walnuts. And we've got all that lovely zest off. And now we're going to pop in the carrots. These have been grated coarsely. You don't want that super fine grating. You want them to be this sort of coarse grating. Pop those in. It's really easy actually, this. You're just basically shoving everything into a bowl, mixing it, and that's it. And now just give all that a stir. Just to distribute the sugar and the carrots and that lovely zest all the way through. If you see any sort of big lumps of sugar, just give them a little encourage to separate. It already looks and smells like carrot cake. Get right down to the bottom and just make sure you're getting all of that flour coating everything. And now it's time to add in the wet ingredients. So I've got 3 eggs in this bowl, and then I've got my sunflower oil, which is 155 mils. So I'm just going to give the eggs a little beat. Okay. And now we're just going to add the eggs and the oil into our cake mixture. It's really easy, this, and it is a brilliant one for children to help with because there's no sort of electric mixers. It's just a case of measuring really and stirring. So now we're going to give that a good old stir. So you just need to keep mixing until it all comes together into one sort of cohesive mixture. Just takes a few minutes. Make sure you get all those carrots in. So there we go. Now all we need to do is pour it into our waiting tin. Now I've preheated the oven to 100, it'll be either 180 degrees or 160 fan. I mean, that's the sort of guideline. I always say it's a guideline because everybody's ovens tend to be slightly different, but you'll know how your oven, whether it's a hot oven, whether it's a cool oven, but it's basically 180 or 160 fan. So I'm going to pour the batter. It is more of a batter. It's not really a sponge mixture. It is very much a batter. All goes into the tin. Make sure you get it all out. We don't want to leave any of this yumminess. It smells amazing already. And you can see there's the colour of carrot cake already, isn't it? So we're just going to pop that in the oven for about an hour. Keep your eye on it when it gets close to the hour and use a skewer if you need to, just to check and make sure that you don't get any sticky sponge mixture still on your skewer. Once it comes out clean, you know that it's done, but round about an hour. Okay, so our lovely cake is in the oven. Now, whilst it's cooking away, we're going to prepare the icing. In my bowl, I've got 50 grams of butter, and it's quite soft. It's just been sat out on the side in the kitchen for an hour or so. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the beaters, the electric beaters, and just beat it until it turns really soft and smooth. So you can see, there looks like there's hardly any there. You know, there's only 50 grams, but we've given it a good old bashing and it's now kind of smeared all around the outside of the bowl. That's totally fine. So to that butter, I'm going to add the cream cheese. So we've got 200 grams of cream cheese here, full fat. Flop that in and then give that another lovely beat. So it'll amalgamate all the butter together now with the cheese. When I'm kind of halfway through, I'll go around the outside just with a spatula just to pull all those bits that are in the edge into the middle. Okay, so we've got our butter and our cream cheese all lovely and mixed together. It's a nice smooth mixture. So to this we're going to add the icing sugar. I've got 100 grams of icing sugar here and I'm going to sieve it only because we want to maintain that smoothness in the icing. I wouldn't normally sieve icing sugar, but I am going to for this. So I'll bring in my sieve and you'll create, the reason I don't like doing it is because you just get these clouds of icing sugar all over your kitchen, but just go gentle. Can you see the clouds? But you'll see, can you see, look, all the little lumps? And if we'd have just put that in, those little lumps would have been in there. So all you need to do is just use your fingers to just get rid of those lumps. Just to smoosh them all through. There we go. And then I'm also going to add the zest of your orange. I get to use my little zester again. How exciting. So again, just go down and get all the lovely zest. Oh, I love doing this. It was so fun. The combination, I think, of orange, the orange really lifts it. It just gives that extra dimension, I think, adding the orange. It's so nice. There we go. So now I'm going to go back in with the beaters and just mix that all together and it's going to be glorious. Now again, just halfway through, I'm going to go around and just get all the icing sugar off. Now at this stage it will look quite liquid, but what we're going to do is this needs to go back in the fridge for at least an hour, really, which is fine because, you know, the cake's cooking and then it's got to cool. Because what will happen in the fridge is the butter will solidify and, you know, bring it together, and the cream cheese will also chill down a bit. There we go. Now look, I've got loads of orange on there. Do you know what I'm gonna? I'll just unplug, and I'll just, oops, Daisy. We don't want to. We want to keep all those bits of orange, so I'm going to get those off. There we go. So you need to now pop this into the fridge, cover it with cling film, pop it into the fridge, and really let it chill for at least an hour. So there we go. That's the end of part 1 of our lovely pudding club. The cake is just finishing cooking. Our icing is just chilling, nice, so it's chilling in the fridge. And we'll be back in part 2 to see the finished cake. We're going to cut it in half, which should be interesting, and then we're going to ice it and finish it all off, and most importantly, I get to eat it. So we'll see you back soon.
What a start! Those smells are making my tummy rumble already.
Yes.
It's perfect.
It is perfect for this time of year.
It's like the perfect combination.
Yes. And it is the perfect thing for this time of year, I think, because you've still got that throwback to those spicy flavours we've all been having. Yeah, it's
warming without the richness.
Yeah, it is. You know, it feels like a more lighter cake. You know, it's lovely.
And it brings back great memories for me, because I remember when I was at music college, I had a job in a music shop. And I used to go out and get my lunch from Thomas the Baker's.
I remember you told me that.
And I used to alternate. I would get some form of pasty for lunch. Normally I think it was a mince and onion pasty. And they were always scalding.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It was like filled with lava. And then for pudding, and it was so cheap. You could buy like one of those pasties for £1.
Yeah.
And then for pudding, I would either have a Chelsea bun, which was like the side of a house. It was ginormous.
No, this is not the healthiest of lunches, I've got to say, but you were a teenager, I suppose.
Or, no, I was older than a teenager. I was maybe 20.
Wow.
And for pudding, I would either have the Chelsea bun, or I would have, they made carrot cake. Yeah. It was a tray-baked carrot cake. Yeah. And they would cut it into like fingers. It was like
flapjack sort of shape.
It was a bit longer. It was like a rectangle shape.
Yeah.
And they used to like fork. They used to put lined forks over the top, and there was always in the middle a carrot. Do you remember this?
A fondant carrot. Yeah, absolutely.
It was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It
had the cheap cream cheese frosting on the top, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, with then a carrot.
It was just delicious.
Yeah.
And that's why I just love it. I think when you have a taste, a flavour, which it goes back to when you were very young, it always then is, you know, such an important part, I think, of those things which are just delicious to eat sometimes. Carrot
cake I never had carrot cake as sort of growing up. It's just something that I would just never have come across. But, it's always seemed quite glamorous to me, having carrot cake.
Well, in Switzerland, highly popular, supposedly, according to the culinary heritage of Switzerland.
Wow, have we got any Swiss people watching?
It is one of the most popular cakes in Switzerland, specifically for birthdays.
Right.
Supposedly.
Perfect birthday cake.
Birthday cake.
Birthday.
Birthday cake.
What's going on?
You sound like Mary Crawley speaking in a real accent.
Have you heard the actress? What's her name?
I can't remember. The
woman who plays Mary Crawley, Lady Mary. Have you heard her speaking normally?
She's a Londoner, baby.
It's brilliant. I was really shocked when I first heard her, because I just thought...
All right, governor.
It is a bit like that, and you're so used to hearing her with this very plummy voice.
Anytime I'm like...
I love her normal accent. I think it's fantastic.
Earthy.
But it just shows you what a brilliant accent she does in Downton, because I honestly thought that's how she spoke.
I know. Amazing.
Fantastic.
Folks, do not miss part 2, when we will be putting together this most delicious of very special cakes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And now it's time it's the start of a new year. So I think, is the first thing you're showing the new pattern?
This.
Yes.
Yes.
This. Yes, that. So I'll shut up and I shall ask, Kate Jones, what's off your needles?
So the first thing I've got to show you is my finished Bits and Bobs Cowl. I finished it and I'll put it on.
It's epic.
But here it is. And this is just going into testing at the moment. And so, you know, it'll be out sometime within the next few weeks. I'll obviously let you know as soon as. But I used...
So that's not the new pattern yet.
What do you mean?
It's the next thing, the new pattern that's just been released.
Yes.
Right.
No, this has just gone into testing.
Right.
So it's not released yet, obviously.
Cool.
But I used I used a full skein of Cascade Heritage in snow, and then this sort of bits and bobs were just bits and bobs, you know, mini skeins, leftovers, whatever I wanted to put in really. And I kept it to these sort of soft colours because I thought that was super pretty and very wearable. And I used between sort of 5 grams, 5, 10, 15 grams. I think the way you see these little sections here, they're 5 grams, and the slightly bigger it might be 10 or a little bit more. So it's a perfect use for all of those sort of little bits of leftovers that you have, plus 1 skein for the background, and you've got a fantastically squishy cowl. So this is based obviously on my Bits and Bobs blanket, but this is knit in the round rather than flat. I wanted to just say that although it's a kind of modified fisherman's rib, I have heard a few people call my Bits and Bobs blanket, a fisherman's rib blanket. It's actually not knit the same way that you knit a fisherman's rib. I mean, by definition, a fisherman's rib is a rib, so you've got alternating knits and purls. And my Bits and Bobs blanket, there is no purling at all. There's not a single purl stitch. And with this, although you do purl, you don't work it as a rib. So there's no alternating of knits and purls like the sort of traditional fisherman's rib. So I would never... I've often referred to it as a modified fisherman's rib because that's what it is. It isn't a fisherman's rib that, for example, my mum would have knit years ago. So I just wanted to make that clear, really, that I don't
could put you off, couldn't it?
It could put you off.
Yeah.
You might think, I don't want to be knitting a rib all the way. It isn't like that at all.
Because fisherman's rib is a very specific technique, isn't it?
Yeah, and it looks like fisherman's rib, so that's why I think people have been calling it a fisherman's rib. And even people that have been I've seen someone knitting it. She was actually knitting the blanket and she referred to it as fisherman's rib.
It's not.
And it's not, because you don't knit it as a rib, and especially the blanket. You know, I designed it specifically because I know that there are people out there who don't particularly like to purl. So with the blanket, you don't purl at all. There is no purling. And I think that's one of the things that certainly I found, it's what makes it so relaxing, because you're just always working.
Moving forwards
rather than shifting your yarn back and forth. So
and didn't you research
similarly
this with this? You've researched this really hard.
Yeah, I mean, similarly with this, when I designed this, what I did was I took my Bits and Bobs blanket and I converted that to in the round. And when I actually went and looked at traditional fisherman's rib, it's not worked the way that you work this.
Fisherman's rib in the round.
In the round. Fisherman's rib in the round.
You've not found anywhere?
I haven't found... I'm not saying there isn't one out there, but certainly the research I did...
And it's been pretty extensive.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't find this method of producing this fabric
anywhere
from my research. So I'll pop it on and then you can see it's gorgeously snuggly.
And the perfect way of getting rid of those little bits of yarn.
Absolutely. So here we go. Oh, it's so gorgeously snuggly. And the best thing about it is, and this Bryony thought this was incredibly cute when I did this, but so you know how you sometimes go for a walk and you might have forgotten your hat?
Yes.
Well, you can just pull up your cowl.
It's a snood.
It's a snood. Gosh, I don't know what I feel like.
I know you look like.
Who do I look like?
Yentl.
Do I? Or maybe like a Star Wars character.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match.
But you get the thing, don't you? You can just pull it up and it's just brilliant because you've got that length. It's just super snuggly. It's so nice and just a brilliant little project. Perfect for little tiny bits of yarn that you've got left. Or you could just use 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, 2 that you really liked, and knit one up. So this will be out soon. I will let you all know when it's out.
Woohoo!
And just, I'm really pleased, a really brilliant thing. And what I'm going to do when I release this is I will update the Bits and Bobs blanket pattern, and I will let everybody know that if they've obviously purchased that pattern, I will include a discount code if you want to buy the cowl pattern.
Cool.
Yes.
And that's imminent, isn't it, really?
In the next... Yeah, it's a quick knit, and I've asked for quick test knitters, so I'm hoping they'll get through it within a couple of weeks.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
But it's the start of a brand new year, and the perfect way to start a brand new year is with a brand new pattern release.
A new pattern release. So my Burrow Blanket seems to be all about blankets, doesn't it, at the moment?
Which is
perfectly fine for January, really.
Exactly.
But yet my Burrow Blanket pattern is now up on Ravelry and Love Knitting for purchase. So this is my Burrow Blanket. So I've been using this all over Christmas. And when I get this out, Bryony's been getting out her crochet blanket that I made her, and it's just been lovely. So this is the Burrow Blanket that I've shown you before, but it's a little while. So all the gorgeous tassels, and that's just half of it. It's folded over. And it's made in the same sort of way as my Burrow wrap. So we've got the lovely I-cord down here, and then you knit in the opposite direction, and then you've got some gorgeous little picots. So this is knit using fingering weight yarn held triple throughout, and it's 6mm needles. So it actually grows surprisingly quickly, because it's effectively kind of like a chunky weight, that, isn't it? Maybe a bit thicker than a chunky weight. But yeah, this is now up and available to purchase if you would like to go ahead and knit one for yourself. And I've included within the pattern, there are video tutorials on all of the specific techniques, so how you pick up under the I-cord and doing the fringes. So anything that's sort of specific, there is details in there, and there's also lots of kind of hints and tips on how to achieve the lovely sort of blended look, and how I did that using the 3 different strands of fingering weight.
And this all stemmed from, you had tons of requests, didn't you?
Yeah, when I did the Burrow wrap, and a few people actually just knit bigger versions of the Burrow wrap because they wanted a blanket. And actually when I was knitting the wrap, I knew straight away it would make a great blanket. But because I wanted it to be even more squishy than the wrap, that's why I decided to hold 3 strands together. And it just eats yarn. It's brilliant. This weighs about 1,050 grams. And in the pattern, there's also directions for a baby blanket size as well, which uses about 600 grams.
Right.
But it's really easy to adapt. I've put details in there on the sort of multiple that you need to cast on if you want to do a different cast on number to produce a different size. And all of the dimensions are in there for the blanket, so it's easy then to either size up or size down if you want to do that. So it's a brilliant use of. The other thing that this is great for is all of those advent minis that everybody's got over Christmas, and you're like, what am I going to do with all these minis? This is absolutely perfect for it. So pull out all your minis and get knitting your blankets is what I say.
Yes.
Yep.
And that actually fits with a series. We're running a 10-part blanket knitting tutorial extravaganza with an introduction from me. Oh yes.
Wow.
And then for the next 10 weeks, Kay's going to take you through every step of her stitching time blanket.
Right.
Oh yes.
Brilliant.
Revised, re-edited, and produced in the highest quality.
And I've got another one of those on the go at the moment.
You do.
You do. Yeah.
Cool. Is that all your what's off your needles?
Yes.
I do have something off my needles.
No, you don't.
I do, but I'm going to share next time.
Oh, what do you have?
A pair of socks that I gave you for Christmas.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes.
But you have way too many Endy Bits for me to be showing my socks today.
Yes.
So you're going to have to come back in episode 142.
Okay.
And I shall show you those.
Cool.
But forget the Endy Bits. We need to finish off our lovely cake. We need to get our delicious icing out of the fridge, cut it in half. This is going to be interesting, because cutting a cake in half
that way
is a challenge. Shall we find out if she does it straight? What do you think? I'm thinking not. Let's go back for part 2 of our Pudding Club special.
everybody to part 2 of Pudding Club, of the very special New Year's Pudding Club. Now, our cake has come out of the oven. We've let it go completely cold. The icing is still chilling in the fridge and that's all ready to go. But what we've got to do now is to cut the cake in half. Now this should be interesting, so let's have a look how we're going to do that. Okay, so here's our lovely cake. It's completely cold now. First of all, I'm just going to flip it over and take off the paper that was underneath. And now we've got to cut this through the middle, horizontally through the middle. Now I know that there's loads of kind of fancy gadgets that you can get to help you do this, you know, so that it's level. I think you can get this thing that's a bit like a cheese slicer that you sort of pull through. But, you know, being realistically, not many of us have got gadgets in the kitchen. So I'm just going to use a bread knife. This is actually a really old bread knife. I must have had this for 20 odd years. But it's got a really thin blade here. You know, the serration part is really thin. And I think that's going to be helpful as we're going through. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to find the centre and then I'm just going to start working my way through and just keeping my hand as level as possible, working through. Now, you know, at the end of the day, if it's a bit wobbly, you know, it doesn't matter, does it? It's a handmade cake. It's going to taste exactly the same, whether it's a bit on a slant or whether it's completely flat. Let's just see how we get on. I'm going to leave it on the rack, the cooling rack, because I think that will just help because it's risen up a little bit. So I'm going to kind of go down at a level, find roughly where the middle of the cake is. And then I'm just going to start sawing my way through and just checking that I'm kind of as level as possible. And just go slowly and keep checking. I'm just trying to keep my hand as flat as possible. Keep going, keep going. Nearly there. Oh, I don't think it's too bad. I'm not saying it's completely level. But I think it will be fine. So let's move that piece over there and lift that off and move that there. Oh, lovely. You can see it's lovely and springy inside. You can see all the lovely bits of carrot. Looks delicious. So I'm going to bring in my pretty plate, which has now got crumbs on because I've been cutting that, and I'll put the bottom layer on there. And then I'm going to now go and get my icing. Okay, so all I'm going to do is blob the icing in the middle. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to put icing in the middle of this cake. You could, if you wanted, put it on the top as well. But I'm not trying to be healthy because that's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's a ridiculous thing to say. But I kind of don't like too much icing. And I think just having it in the middle is perfect for me. But if you want to split it and put some on the top as well, then that's totally up to you. There we go. Now this is a cake that you have to keep in the fridge. Obviously because we've got cream cheese in there, which needs to be kept in the fridge. So once you've made it, you know, pop it back in the fridge until you actually need to cut some of it, and then keep it in the fridge, you know, as you're eating it. So now I'm going to pop the top on and just give it a little squidge. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just give it a lovely sprinkling of icing sugar. So there we go, our carrot cake is now all finished. I'm going to cut a slice and we're going to try it. Yummy! so I'm ready to try it. Now, I love carrot cake, and me and Dan were talking recently actually, saying how much we both loved carrot cake, and it's funny because it's not something I make regularly, and actually it's really simple, as you've seen, so I will definitely be having this on my baking rota more frequently through this year. So I'm ready to try it. I actually didn't cut it very straight, but don't tell anybody. Here we go. Oh, it's yummy. Oh gosh, you can really taste the orange in the icing. I can taste ginger, fantastic, and the carrots obviously. It's delicious. And Dan was also saying that it's kind of like, it's great for we feel like it's a really good New Year's pudding because it's kind of got that Christmas vibe still a little bit with like the ginger and the cinnamon if you use it and mixed spices. But it's also got that freshness because it's a lighter sponge cake, and you know the cream cheese is gives a kind of lighter feel to it as well. So it's a brilliant combination for this time of year and completely delicious. So I'm going to very happily eat my way through this slice, and we will see you in March for a brand new series of Pudding Club. So get your pinnies on and get into the kitchen to make this, and we will see you again in March. Here we go. Oh, it's yummy.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is an absolutely gorgeous cake.
Yummy.
We have dicky tummies. And
sensitive tummies,
I know
let's say.
it if I've had something that is too rich for me. And I had a big slice of that.
We did.
2, in fact.
We did.
And I felt fine afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think we speak a lot actually about homemade stuff.
Yeah.
And about how, I think, you know, it comes down to quality ingredients and the right ingredients.
Yeah.
And
there's no kind of extra things put in to make it last longer and things like that.
No. And do you know what? It's the perfect, because sometimes this time of year, especially after my mum very kindly, with your guidance, got me the most epic box of chocolates you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
I have aspired to this box of chocolates since I was but a nipper. This box of chocolates is vast.
Yeah.
But you have one, and you know you've had one.
They're rich. It's from Hotel Chocolat.
Yes. These things must be made of solid butter and cream.
Yeah, they're rich,
mixed with a heavy dose. The last one I had was a bit boozy.
There are a few boozy
Needed a lie down after that one, let me tell you.
Yeah.
This cake, big slice, felt great. It's marvellous.
And although the filling is, you know, there's a good amount of calories in there. Because I didn't put it on the top as well.
I also think there's something different about cream cheese than a butter icing.
It does have a little bit of butter in, but not a lot, really. Not compared to a buttercream.
And you would think a buttercream icing would be richer than a cream cheese icing.
Well, I mean, it's all dairy, isn't it?
I know, but there's something different about cream cheese.
I would think, I don't know what the fat content is of cream cheese, but I would kind of think the butter is probably a higher fat, but I'm not certain on that. I'd need to check. But in any case, we were totally fine eating it. It didn't feel, like Dan said, it didn't feel rich. And actually, it was better because you had another slice later on in the day when it had been in the fridge for a good few hours.
I've got to say, I do love a fridge cake.
Yeah, it was actually better then. This is a great thing to make maybe the day before you want to eat it. Pop it in the fridge. It's all ready to go the next day.
Done.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Now, the gold edition is available right now. The Pudding Club season proper starts on the 6th of March. So a little bit of time to wait, but trust me, you're going to love it because she nearly did one of the recipes for this one. But it's so epic, she wanted to have a couple of practice runs.
It's a lot more involved,
before you went for it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an epic season, starts on the 6th of March. But do remember, if you're in the mood for baking and cooking, if you head over here to our special baking and cooking area on our website. There's loads of things on there, from our Cooking the World series to all the seasons of the Pudding Club to our special exclusive season of What's in Your Oven. You'll find them all right here. So yes, don't worry if you want to cook. We've got you covered.
Yes.
Oh yes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would you believe it? It's already time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
And these are epic Endy Bits.
Oh, gosh.
Now,
yes,
we will start with, we've already mentioned the Race to the Moon, Cal.
Yeah.
So remember, if you are anybody who wants to come and join in with the walk or the run, head over to our Ravelry group and you'll see the thread and you can read all about it there, or you can contact me via the website. If you are a patron, please get involved and help Kay with her construct. No, what is it you do?
No, we are just flying to the moon.
Just flying to the moon.
We
We're
are
constructing the rocket.
knitting our way to the moon.
And the runners and the walkers are building a rocket.
You're building a shuttle.
Yes,
Shuttle.
yes, a shuttle, which challenging because we have to achieve more miles than we did last year.
Maybe Virgin Galactic will be there at the same time.
That would be epic.
Because that's well on the way, isn't it?
It is indeed. Now, we have to do more miles this year than we did last year in less time, because we need to give ourselves 3 days to get to the moon. To get
to the moon. I think it takes... I'm going by how long it took Jim Lovell to get there.
Well, that's fine.
It might be quicker now, but let's go with that.
We're going with Jim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the way.
Love
so
to.
Please get involved with our Race to the Moon, Cal.
And the Pyramid one, are we going to mention that?
Yes, absolutely.
So the runners...
We did it, just.
And guess what?
With the help, I added all the mileage up and we were short. Kay's mileage wasn't included. Also, Sasha's mileage.
Sasha's too wasn't included.
Added that mileage on and we just did it.
We did it.
We got around the world
Me and
in
Sasha.
time.
Me and Sasha. We saved the day.
Saved the day. Hallelujah.
Sasha did loads more than me, but, you know.
We just did it. We got around the world. We circumnavigated straight around the globe, got back to the Great Pyramid of Khufu, and the question we were asking as we sallied forth, looking for the pyramid, was it there? Could we top it off?
Yes, we did.
Woohoo! Yes, our patron knitters successfully built the Great Pyramid of Khufu.
We did, and we blasted our way through that pyramid, let me tell you, because our aim was 2,300,000 blocks. That's how many they...
Now, that's a big blanket.
That's a big blanket, isn't it? Can you imagine? Can you imagine a blanket big enough to cover the pyramid?
Imagine seaming that together.
Well, you'd have to do join as you go or something, wouldn't you, to cover the pyramid? That would be just too much. But yeah, the target was 2,300,000 blocks. We achieved 2,453,234 blocks.
Go you.
Totally did it. And I've got to say, the December amount of blocks was astronomical. Did I write down?
I know it was huge.
Yes, it was almost 300,000 blocks.
So well done.
We knit through
I bet you a lot of people saved it up
Very
to the end of the year.
Yeah, and there's all the Christmas knitting going on and everything. So well done, everybody. We did it.
Nailed it, people. So join in now. Please come and join us in the Race to the Moon Club. I really do feel like, because this is a much more stretchy walking and running target, so I need as many people to get involved as possible. So please come and join the team. Now, look, before we do an epic run of prizes, let's just make sure we've covered everything. Upcoming shows. Obviously, we'll see you in 2 weeks for episode 142. And the return of the Bakery Bears picture show. Yes!
Oh, yes!
The Chair of Truth is back, but this time she's brought her little brother. All will be revealed in 2 weeks.
No idea what he's talking about.
It's very exciting. Don't miss that.
Right.
A short run, 3-episode run of the Bakery Bears picture show. Yes, we will be reviewing 3 choicest films.
And I think there's some good ones coming out.
Oh, there are. Oh, there are. For the first time ever. Unlike last January, which was a bit of a dead zone.
It was, but we
had some good stuff.
We did.
All Is True, Screen 2. How many people viewing it? 2.
Yes. We loved it. It was fantastic. We had the cinema to ourselves. We took our lunch in with us.
Sushi, baby.
It was brilliant.
Who cares if we smell of fish? There's no one else here.
I didn't have sushi, but it was brilliant. It was a great film, that. Vastly underrated, I think.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, all 3 films.
Kenneth Branagh was great.
Yes. Yeah. So that's back next time. But before then, there's lots going on. Have you seen Kay's first design diary of 2020? Starting afresh, talking all about the beginning of a new year and giving you a sneaky peeky at her new design collection.
Yes.
For this year.
Yep.
Very different.
Yep.
Yes. It's not Miss Potter 3.
No, it's not. No,
It's not the Swish and Flick Collection 2.
No, it's not.
You're going to love it.
Yes,
If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. It's cool.
Yeah.
But Return to the Centre of the Yoke is back with a bit of a tragedy. Don't miss that.
Oh, it's not good.
Our epic tutorial series, of course, is ongoing. There's so much ongoing. So don't miss any of those amazing shows. Look, I think it's time for us to do some epic prizes. So if you haven't been involved in any of our...
I've got 3 different knit-along prizes to do. So if you weren't involved in either the Pyramid knit-along, the Autumn Equinox...
I like what you did there.
What did I do?
Equinox. Carry on.
Or the Swish and Flick, then...
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for watching.
Stay tuned if you entered any of those knit-alongs, because we're going to pile through all of the prizes and there's quite a lot to get through. We're just going to get through them.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the Pyramid KAL, because we were just talking about that.
Can I hold the prizes whilst you announce the winners?
Okay.
Great.
Right, so, okay. I've been very methodical with this, so I will give you the prizes as... There we go. So the first prize, so this is in the Pyramid knit-along. So it was the final quarter of prizes. So this ran from entries 1,900 to 2,662, which was the last entry before I closed the thread. I closed it on about the 3rd of January, I think. So the first prize is this lovely Harry Potter bag from Sasha. The winner of this was number 1954. And that's Cov Kimbo on Ravelry, and that's Kim in Coventry.
Woohoo!
Starting it off with a UK person, so that's fantastic. So I'll say straight off, if you've won a prize, then would you contact me with your full name and address, and you can do that via the website, the contact button, or you can send me a Ravelry message if that's preferable. Can I ask that you don't send me Instagram messages? I'm actually no longer using the direct messaging service on Instagram. I had a very near miss with a hacked message, and I just decided I was just not going to use that service anymore.
It's impossible to keep up. You get so many messages.
Very difficult to keep up, because if I don't follow the person that's sending me a message, it can actually take me ages to see it because it doesn't flash up. You have to go looking for it, and then I hate for people to be sat waiting for me to reply to something. So there is a note on my profile now that I'm not using the direct messaging service anymore, but you can happily send me a message through the website, or you can Ravelry message me, whichever you prefer.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's the first prize. Next is a black Harry Potter bag. That one was won by number 2158, and that is O2 Knitmore on Ravelry, and that's Kirsten in Tennessee.
Woohoo!
So that's going a long way, that lovely bag. So that's the 2 prizes for the final 2 prizes for the Pyramid knit-along.
Well done, everybody.
That's those. So the next knit-along is the Autumn Equinox. So that one closed just after the winter solstice, which was 21st of December. So this one ran from numbers 2 to 402. And I've got 4 prizes, so this is brilliant. The first prize is the mini skein set from me of the rainbow yarn. So that's the first prize, and that one has been won by number 129, and that's Pearl Girl Jen on Ravelry, and that's Jen in Maryland.
Congratulations!
Yay, well done, Jen. So
woohoo.
They are yours. We've then got more yarn from me, and this is the Autumn Gold sock set. And this is on a Stellina. So this is beautiful. Sorry, you're showing it, aren't you?
No.
And I'm holding it up.
Please hold it up close first.
So this one was won by number 136, and that's Jobby Jane on Ravelry, or Joby Jane. It must be Jobby, I think, Jane on Ravelry, and that's Jane in Lancashire. Fantastic. So that's not going too far at all. So Jane, that lovely yarn is yours.
Jobby Jane.
Jobby Jane.
So it's not Joby Jane.
Well, it's probably Joby Jane because it's not a double B. So
Yeah,
Joby Jane.
Yeah. Although Job
Yeah, we're not sure, Jane.
makes me think of Billy Connolly.
Does it?
Because he used to say Billy Connolly, licensed to say Jobby.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of his catchphrases in his early sort of stand-up.
I don't know that at all. So the next prize is this lovely pineapple bag, which was donated by Yarn Magpie. Gorgeous, pink and lovely pineapples. And this was won by number 145, and that's Leslie 529 on Ravelry, and that's Leslie in Ohio. But it's boiling still in Ohio.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so that's yours, Leslie. And then the last prize for the Autumn Equinox is this gorgeous bag from Sasha. She made us some of these bags specifically for the knit-along with this lovely bear on. And that one was won by number 111. Great number. And that's Bente Halverson on Ravelry. And that's Bente, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Bente, in Oslo.
Whoa!
Oh, snowy. It's got to be snowy in Oslo.
You'd hope
you would
so.
think, yes. So, Bente, that's yours. So that's the Autumn Equinox. And then finally, the Swish and Flick. So this is the Swish and Flick knit along. I'll let it run till the end of the year, and then I said that I would do the final prizes in the new year. So that's where we are now. So the first prize is another gorgeous Harry Potter bag from Sasha. This was won by number 3. Oh, I didn't tell you the numbers. This ran from number 3805 to 4011. First prize winner is number 3904, and that is I Love My Garden on Ravelry, and that's Sandra in Queensland.
And Sandra, if you love your garden, I bet the plants in your garden are epic.
Yeah, I bet they are.
In Queensland.
But also...
Oh, yeah.
Also, at the moment, obviously, Australia is suffering terribly with fires, so I hope that
Thinking of you all.
Absolutely. I hope that you're safe and well, Sandra.
Yes.
But that bag will be winging its way as soon as I hear from you. So the next one is another, and this is the final Harry Potter bag, the stack that Sasha sent me. So this one has been won by number... Smells nice.
It just smells like a high-class clothes shop.
Sasha, amazingly, that must be what your house smells like.
It's got like... It's like when I was young on holiday in Spain, I remember we used to go into like these really expensive leather shops with amazing jackets and bags. And
smells like that.
That's what it makes me think of.
Wow.
Amazing. Brings back memories.
So that one has been won by number 3947, and that is Simanon on Ravelry now.
I got so excited waiting for you to say that.
When this name came up, I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to say that. Because it's like cinnamon, but the other way around. Simanon on Ravelry. And that's, I think it's Jamie.
Yes, just go with Jamie.
Jamy.
Go with Jamie, go with Jamie.
Jamie in Seattle.
Excellent.
Jamie, that's your bag.
Woohoo.
And then the final prize of all the prizes that we've done is the last of the yarn that I dyed up. And this
let me hold it.
This one is very precious yarn because I've not done dyeing in a long time. This is Pensieve. Look at that. Gorgeous.
It's the Pensieve.
It's the Pensieve. This one was won by number 3967, and it's Scully Bun Bun. What a fantastic way to end. Scully, that yarn is yours.
Superb.
So, again, everybody that I've mentioned, please contact me with your full name and address via the website or Ravelry message me.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a way to start the year.
Oh, I feel marvellous that
It's
all
wonderful.
of those prizes are done now.
Wonderful to be back and to be giving out lovely prizes,
Yes.
lovely puddings, and so much to look forward to. So, without further ado, we shall say cheerio. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
That's very posh.
I know, well, I am.
Cheerio. I want you all to say cheerio to someone today.
Yes, do. Yes. It will make them smile. We will see you in 2 weeks for episode 142. Have a great 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Lots of lovely knitting.
Yes.
And we'll see you then.
Lots of lovely walking.
Yeah, and lots of lovely walking and maybe some running too.
Yeah.
And we'll see you then for the very first in the brand new series of the Bakery Bears Picture Show.
Yay. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kate the Bakery Bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf?